What's up? Today we're going to be going over how to make money in real estate without a license. Stay tuned. Think you need a real estate license to make money as a real estate investor? Think again. You do not need a real estate license to be a real estate investor at all. There's so many ways you can make money in real estate without having to be a real estate agent, get a license, be regulated, and have everybody tell you what to do. You don't need that, okay? Now, does it help? Sure, why not? I mean, it gives you more education, but I don't have a real estate license, I don't plan on getting one, and I still invest in real estate and don't need one. So let's actually dive into the reasons why you don't need a real estate license and what you can do to make money without one in real estate as an investor. By the end of this video, you're gonna know why getting a real estate license is not the only way to get started in real estate investing. Discover a lot of the extra strategies you can take that can help you make money without a license. And also learn how to capitalize off of these strategies to make as much money as possible on each deal you come across. All right, everybody, it's time to debunk the misconception that you need a license. Look, I started wholesaling about 5 years ago. And let me just rephrase that. I started investing in real estate 5 years ago, and I do not have a license till this day. You do not need a real estate license to be a fix and flipper, to fix up a house, to find a deal, to wholesale it, to assign it to someone, to lend out hard money. There's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate that you do not need a license for. A license is if you want to list someone's house, put it on the market, walk people through. It's a process that, you know, it works and a lot of people do it, but it's not something I was interested in. I wanted to just be working with sellers and negotiating and then selling it to investors or invested in myself. That's what I wanted. I wanted it on the properties. That's why I did it. And I don't need a license to do it. And you don't need a license at the moment. There are some states that are regulating and saying, hey, you need a license to be to wholesale properties. Look, you can get around that. You can either double close on the property. You can just have your buyer that you're working with just sign the paperwork and then pay you through an invoice or through a check as a marketing fee. It doesn't matter. But look, you don't need a license. You're not listing it on the multiple listing service. You're not trying to walk a bunch of people through it. You just are connecting when you wholesale. But yeah, let's debunk that myth. You do not need a license. And if there is some states that are trying to like hone down, say, yeah, you need a license, there's always gonna be different ways to go through it. You're gonna be able to buy it in an LLC and then sell your LLC, but blah, 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 okay? But no, you don't need a license. I hope I debunked that. So you want to discover all the different ways that you can get into a deal and actually make money on a deal without having a real estate license. There's so many. There's wholesaling, creative financing, BRRRR. There's a ton. Hard money lending, if you lend out money, private money. Look, you don't need a license to do any of those, and we're going to be going over actually the video that I've made that goes into it more in depth that I'm going to be introducing you guys later in this video. But I just wanted to say one thing before we dive into that. I want to let you know that I have a free masterclass where I teach my strategy of how to get your first or next deal with little to no marketing spend. I'm telling you, it's totally worth it. I just did a challenge, a 30-day challenge when I went to a brand new market with no money, and I've got a deal for $0 in marketing spend. I was able to do it through Facebook, okay? I found a deal on Facebook. I know there's crazy. The internet is amazing. You can get deals without having to spend tons of money on marketing, and I don't suggest you spend a ton of money yet. Wait till you have a business that's thriving. But look, there's tons of deals out there. Just come to my masterclass, go to investorthrive.com. We're gonna dive in and show you my strategy and how you can get started. But I wanted to let you know that before we get on to the next topic. So we're gonna dive into all the different extra strategies and ways you can make money and make a lot of it without having a real estate license. And I have a video that I've recorded that I think explains it way better than me having to do it again. So we're gonna dive into this, watch it, tell me what you think, and it's gonna explain to you creative financing, wholesaling, all the different ways that you make money. I'm excited for you to learn, and let's dive right in. Okay, so you guys probably obviously already know what the first strategy is. It's wholesaling. So what is wholesaling? It's basically getting a property at a discount under contract and assigning your contract to an end buyer and making an assignment fee. That's one strategy, and it's not a bad strategy, but you know, the way the market is right now, it's kind of difficult to find a property that is that distressed, that needs that much work, where you're able to get it at a price that makes sense. Not impossible, I mean, we do it every day, but it's just one strategy. So one exit strategy, as we all know, is wholesaling. Okay, so if you're not using this strategy, then you're leaving money on the table, and it's called creative financing or lease options, subject to installment sales. I mean, there's a lot of different terms, contracts for deeds. They're all kind of legal depending on how you set up the contract. But basically, what this is you take over the financing that someone has, or the owner owns it outright, and they finance you. And this way, you're able to pay more for the deal than you are at a wholesale price. So let me give you an example of a deal we did in Dallas. So the owner owed about $160,000 on the property. The house was worth about $180,000. So there's like a $20,000 spread. Not a wholesale deal. It wasn't going to work. So I told the seller, I was like, hey, what do you owe? And he said $160,000. I said, look, that's kind of pretty much worth what it's worth right now. I can take over your payments for you, buy the house that way and give you a little bit up front. So he said, look, if you just take over my payments, I'm totally fine with that. I just need $2,000. So I said, or it might have been $4,000, I can't remember, but he said, yeah, take over my payments, just give me a little up front. So basically what I did is I got it under contract, assumed the mortgage, and I, basically assigned my contract to someone else, and I said, hey, I need $9,000 down. So I was able to give him the $2,000, keep $7,000 for myself, and that's how I got it done. Now that was a dud deal. It wouldn't have been a wholesale deal, but because it was a creative financing deal and I was able to take over his payments, someone was willing to take over that deal. So if you are not using creative financing, lease options, taking over payments, you're losing out on deals that are there, but they're not wholesale deals. So make sure you're doing that. Alright guys, another strategy that we use all the time is an option to purchase agreement. And if you don't know what that is, there's a company out there that is basically doing an option to purchase agreement. It's called Sunday. You can check them out. They're basically going to sellers and saying, hey, look, I'm not your buyer. I'm just going to find an end buyer. So they're basically just telling people they're going to wholesale it. And I think they get a little bit of a commission. But what we've been doing to people is we'll get a house in the middle of nowhere and we don't really know what the deal is worth or what price we need it at. So I tell the seller just straight up like, hey, we don't really buy in that area, but I have a bunch of investors I can run this by. Is it okay if I run your property by these investors, and if I, bring you someone, we can do the deal together? And the sellers are usually like, oh yeah, let's do it. That's completely fine. Bring me a buyer and we'll do it. So then what I do is I have them sign an option to purchase agreement. I have a template if you want to use it in the link below. And basically what they do is they sign saying, hey, if you find me a buyer at $80,000, I will sign a real estate purchase agreement. So then if I find someone for 90, I come to them and say, hey, I found someone at 80. They're going to pay my fee, and they sign for 80, and then I would assign it to that end buyer for 90. So what is an option to purchase agreement? It's literally telling them that you're going to wholesale their property. Wholesaling, you just say, hey, I'm going to buy it because you're confident that you can buy it or you have a buyer. Option to purchase agreement is just saying, hey, look, I'll bring someone to you. Are you cool with that? And it works all the time for us. When you're just transparent with people and just tell them how you're going to do it. It works in areas where we don't have buyers or we're not confident about what we can get the property, like what we need it for. We just say, hey, I'm going to bring some people. They're cool with it. And I'm doing one in Hawaii right now. The house is worth $850,000 to $900,000, and this is a higher price point. So I told them, hey, I have a network of investors. Let me run this by them and see what they'd be willing to pay, and I'll bring you their offers. And the guy's like, yeah, sounds great. So option to purchase agreement is huge, and it's great because you're just being transparent about things. Okay guys, so this is a huge strategy that's coming out right now. It's kind of the new hot thing. It's the retail buyer program, novations, whatever you want to call it. It's just different contracts you use. But basically what you're doing is you're going to the seller of a house that doesn't need that much work, and you're saying, hey, look, we have a program that we can work with you, we can work together where, we'll list your house, we'll fix up any repairs if you don't have the money, and we'll get you more money than a wholesale deal. And basically you're just partnering, from what I understand, you're partnering with the seller to try and help them sell their house on the MLS with, I guess, their permission. And that you can get more money for them that way. Now you have to find the right situation. You have to find a seller that trusts you and that is willing to work with you, and you have to be willing to put a little bit of money into the property if, you know, end buyer, you know, that has a conventional FHA, VA loan, if the appraisal comes in and they need you to do a couple things for it to qualify for the loan. So it takes a little bit more work, but you're obviously going to be able to make more money because you're selling it to a retail buyer. So that is another option that we're using. Seen it work before, just you have to see the right situation for it. Alright guys, and to finish up this video, I mean, everybody knows about these last strategies, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time on them. Listing the house. If you don't have relationships with agents in the area, if you're not an agent and you can't list it, make some connections with some agents that can give you a kickback if you send them a referral. If you got someone that is dead set on listing their property, say, hey, yeah, we work with some agents, let me have one of them call you. They get the listing, they'll give you a little kickback. If you're able to do that, if you have a license, it's all, you know, you'd have to get that set up. You know, also to end, is fix and flip, super easy. If you got a good deal and you feel like you should fix it up, you don't want to put in a new kitchen or whatever, go for it. You're gonna make more money if you have the means and the time to do that. Every deal is, you know, situational. You got to look at it. And lastly, and this is what we love doing, is wholetailing. You take a house, you bring it down, you carpet, you paint it. Sometimes you even just sweep it. You just vacuum it, you clean it, and you sell it. Let me tell you about a deal we had to end. We bought it for about $344. We closed on it. We vacuumed, cleaned it, took out the junk, and it cost us like $2,000. And then we listed it on the MLS. Didn't do any work to it, and we're about to have an offer. We're about to accept an offer for $450. So it didn't really do any work to it. After fees and commissions, everything, we're probably gonna make about $75,000. And didn't flip it. So to wrap up the video, guys, these are all the strategies that I use that you need to be implementing to, you know, make more money and be more successful in this business. You need a wholesale. You need to do an installment sale or creative financing, lease options, option to purchase, retail buyer program, novations, whatever you want to call it. Just partner with the seller and sell their house on the MLS. List it, fix and flip, or wholesale. So that's a lot. I think that's about 8 different options, different extra strategies. But anyway, guys, you have to have all those options in your pocket. You can't be a one-trick pony, or you're going to be leaving money on the table and not getting deals. I hope you enjoyed that video. It's definitely going to help you out a ton if you start taking action. These videos that you're watching are great, but really none of it matters unless you're going to apply and take action. So come to my masterclass, learn how to get started, and it's absolutely free to come to my masterclass. Just go to investorthrive.com and we'll teach you what we got, and it's going to help you get started. So hey, I'll see you on the next one, everybody. And if you enjoy this, subscribe so we can see you on the next video.